Joe is my name, and this is where we talk about everything important. We look at the headlines, and then we get talking about issues of public, national importance, issues across the state, the local, and of course, sometimes of global dimension as well. But primarily, is about the workings and the well-being of this great nation, holding critical stakeholders accountable, and it's towards, having a great nation, the one that we are proud of as good people and great nation, Nigeria. This is, we are back again today, and we round it off on a high for this week. Daniel is here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. How do you do?
Very well. How do you do?
Well, we thank God for his mercies, and it's great to be back here again to do this.
Absolutely. Thank God it's Friday.
Yes, TGF.
Yeah, it's a cold Friday morning here.
Cold?
Yes, cold.
Well,
am I the only one feeling the cold?
I understand you're cold.
How do you mean?
At your end, cold.
How do you mean? How do you mean?
At my end, and people like me, maybe not too cold.
Okay, so a single man has to be cold,
Who
right?
mentioned anything around me single here? Who mentioned the die? People know I'm not talking about anything single. I'm just saying maybe the atmosphere is kind of different where we both live, so to speak. Who has mentioned anything about single here? Justice for the single, have you?
All right. Good morning. Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, viewers from all over the world. Thank God it's Friday. And again, it's great to be alive. Always great to be alive. As long as we are still alive in Nigeria, we should be thankful. So thank God it's Friday once again. Thank you for joining us on this Friday edition of Morning Spring on Western Spring Television. Emeka Daniel is my name. They call me Dan Ziggy. Welcome to the program today. Promises to be a wonderful one. You don't want to miss any part of it.
Of course, it's a loaded one today, and so many things to really talk about. Yesterday, I think from the presidency or so, a particular document was released, and it was essentially about the appointments made by Mr. President so far. And, they had to put it in different perspectives, by geopolitical zones to see, there are some calls in some quarters that maybe the president's appointment has been tilted towards people from his side of the country, actually. So they have
not just anyone, Femi.
Put out.
Senator Alin Dume, APC senator representing Borno South, made that allegation that President Tinubu's appointments have been skewed to favor people from
his geopolitical zone.
Exactly. So he made that allegation, and he gave facts that they should go check out those figures. So the presidency posted that. But unfortunately, they came back later to say they were mistakes, but people actually pointed out some mistakes there. For instance, in the Southwest, they posted that the president has appointed 29 persons. Right. However, they said he omitted the appointment of the chief of staff, Femi Gbajabiamila. So some of the mistakes there. And but if you look at that list, from the Northwest, I think they are the highest from that list. Although they said they were errors, I don't know if they've corrected those errors.
Over 30.
Said 35 from Northwest. Right. Impressive. Then the lowest from Southeast. And you begin to wonder why.
I think 26 or so.
No. Less than 20, about 16.
Yeah.
From the first list posted. Like I said, I do not know if they've released a fresh list. But from that one, Southeast was just 16.
Daniel, so many things to really talk about as far as that list is concerned. Some will say, well, maybe this is petty. We just want to show that, we are not that we are called. I'm talking about the federal government now. Number two, sometimes it's good for accountability as well.
Absolutely.
Because the best thing, is to show results. Instead of you refuting or you ignoring, show workings. Now, they have tried to do that. Well, does that mean they are being clever by half? If actually that was a clever move at all.
It wasn't clever.
if at all, then able to say, we're sure of what we've done, and you guys are just raising rubbles where there is none, what kind of a schoolboy error is for a whole government to come about and bring up a list of the appointees of Mr. President so far. And then people are pointing at errors. Who are these people? What does that say about if they are coordinated or not? Who made that list? Which of the assistants read out the list? Which of the desk, high, power desk, endorsed the list before it was released? Was it just done by one lower ranking officer there? And if actually, but it speaks a lot about the fact that you want to disprove, you want to confirm, you want to come out, with a clean hands to say, this is what we have done. And at the end of the day,
you posted an erroneous list.
Almost after 2 years of you being in government or thereabout, and then you are having schoolboy errors. See, schoolboy, would they call it typographical or, secretarial error or administrative error?
Tell me if you ask
what kind of error?
If you ask me,
just a list of appointees. I
disagree with that it's an error if you ask me, because for a list to be released by the presidency,
that's the issue.
It was an official
the whole government
statement
of a country.
Yes. So I wouldn't excuse that.
And you couldn't get the list of appointees right. So what exactly will you get right?
Maybe
just a list.
Maybe they try to pull the wool over the eyes of some
over
people.
Whose eye? What kind of a wool would that be?
No way.
If actually they are not sure, they could have called for roll call. Everybody. Adebayo Adelabu, president, sir. You write it there. Then Femi Gbajabiamila, his name was omitted. Who did that? The thing is, right, that's the gatekeeper to the president. Who? We don't know. Maybe he compiled the list and forgot his name. I don't know. I'm just saying it's not making. So whatever their motive was is defeated already. Now, are they expecting Nigerians to now? Okay, by Monday we post another list, and Nigerians will say, "Hope you guys have done your work very well." But you just speak about being coordinated. Actually, even if their intentions were right to say, "We know what you have done," there are Nigerians who will look at it. That's the kind of list. And these are the kind of things that are supposed to have enhanced people's trust in you. Imagine seeing that list and you have done what you said you have done. The names are correct. People are vetted and they are perused and they have seen that, oh, finally, maybe we are just, being sentimental. And you check through all the list of your appointees and everything is intact. The next list, the next statement, the next communique that the government will release, people will do what? They will pay attention.
Absolutely.
But in this case now, the next, whatever that will be done, so there might be one or two persons say, excuse me, I have better things to do with my time.
Yeah. And the most striking part for me is the fact that this allegation wasn't just raised by anyone, by a ranking senator, Senator Aline Dume, who is also a member of the APC. So it's not as if it was raised by opposition. No, so that's the most striking part for me.
And apart from Aline Dume, many persons have been talking about it. Yeah. Especially the kind of place that those persons occupy.
But it came to the forefront when of course started speaking about
that's a fact.
That the president is flouting the federal character rules. I mean, that is unconstitutional. That's when they now said, okay, let us prove him wrong. But unfortunately, instead of proving Aline Dume wrong, they still indicted themselves.
Actually. And some would now, there has been that defense from the handlers or supporters of the party in power, the center, to say, or the president, actually, because it's not just about the party. Some of the party members are grumbling, just like Aline Dume as well, to say, when Buhari do, how we do in this country. Whenever you see something is not right, so to speak, and then you try to justify it by saying, oh, is he the only first person? Is it the first person to do that? During the time of so, didn't they do that? Even in 4. So if this person is doing it now, please allow him or her. And when it's your turn as well, you to go and bring all your village people and put it there. But it defeats the real essence of nationhood, not just being a country, a nation. Everybody together. And even when we are different nations, Ijaw nation, Yoruba nation, Hausa nation, if there's anything like that, we still have a country that's supposed to cement everybody together. And this kind of appointment is what we make people to so. Some are saying Yorubanization of appointments.
Absolutely.
Some have, during the Buhari, people talked about nepotism, tribalism, and modernization of everything. So the moment somebody from different part of the country comes in, maybe at any point in time, either 2027, 2031, or 20 whatever, are we expected to see that kind of a leader to appoint people that are his cronies? And how would that make the different part of the country, the other part of the country, to feel? These are the issues.
Absolutely. And another concern I have concerning that list is the very low representation of a particular region, the Southeast region. Why is the Southeast region having only 16 names on that list? The lowest, less than 20. It's quite unfortunate because we've seen it said over and over again that this part of the country is being marginalized. And to set the record straight, I am not from the Southeast. My name is Emeka Dani. I'm not from the South. I'm from the South of Nigeria. But I'm concerned about the low representation of the Southeast. Why is it so? Some people go as far as saying that, oh, someone from the Southeast cannot be president of Nigeria. And you begin to ask yourself, on what ground
those are
you
kind
saying
of
that?
narrative that should not even be talked about.
Yeah, but that's the truth. That's what some people are saying.
Of course, there are people who do that, but
so when I saw that list,
people with sane minds, there's a conversation that should not even dignify at all. So why should anybody not have it?
It's playing out now in the appointments. When I saw that, it actually caught my attention. I was like, oh, why? So, but funny enough, these people, interestingly, they've not even been complaining because most times they're very industrious. They go about their businesses. They don't really care. But truth be told, it shouldn't be so. Well, if we have federal character, let us stick to the rules and, try to play by the constitutions in all our dealings.
These are some of the issues, and of course, people will talk about it, and it doesn't serve the country well. Whatever agenda is being peddled around, the Nigeria agenda should be the main thing. And of course, for the handlers of government that have released such better to be forgotten public document, it's a shame. Let's call it what it is. It's a shame. And now, if heads will roll, you will know that will be that of the junior officers, possibly somebody who typed, and blames have to be shifted. Yeah. Somebody has to take the blame.
Someone will take the fall for it.
That's it. Even when it's her fault or it's her fault or it's not. But we should do better as our people. So much to really talk about today, and is a very special one. We'll have an extended headline segment, a lot to really link into from all the major dailies. It's the TGF edition of Morning Spring on Western Spring Television, where we say it as it is. Stay with us.
Jeremiah Oyeni Obafemi on March 6, 1909. Obafemi Awolowo was a prime architect of Nigeria's independence and most consummate advocate of free education and social welfare in Africa's most populous nation. Erudite politician, thinker and philosopher, Awo was fondly addressed by associates and political colleagues, brought his unique attributes to bear on governance in the defunct Western region. He administered as leader of government business and the premier between 1955 and 1958. Obafemi Awolowo's premiership witnessed pioneering in the multi-sectoral policy initiatives and execution. The Western region under his administration paraded several enviable records. First television station in Africa, first real estate in Nigeria, first high-rise building in Nigeria, first modern sports stadium in Nigeria, first agricultural settlement in Nigeria, first modern civil service secretariat in Nigeria, and first industrial estate in Nigeria. His face is on 100 Naira denomination as a mark of honor for his distinguished services to his country. Western Spring Television identifies Obafemi Awolowo as a major character in history.
Nigeria still has some breathtaking natural areas and national parks. These forests and wild places help maintain healthy ecosystems, clean rivers, rainfall, and even the oxygen we breathe. But if we allow our wildlife to be poached and our forests to be cut illegally, we may lose this forever. So let's do the right thing. Tell your families and friends not to buy illegal bushmeat or illegal timber from our protected forests. It's time to save our wildlife and forests in order to protect our natural heritage. Keep them wild, keep us safe.
All right, thank you for staying with us. We'll start the headline segment this morning from the front page of The Guardian. The Guardian newspaper. Yakubu laments flawed democracies, hints of exit at ECOWAS parley. Yakubu laments flawed democracies, hints of exit at ECOWAS parley. You have the picture of the president, Mr. Yakubu himself. That's Prof. Yakubu, rather, the INEC national chairman, and of course the Senate President Godswill Akpabio. All right, why, and what are those things that he has said? What are the flaws of the democracies that we have around, and how is it working? And what has he said to give a hint of exit at the ECOWAS parley? All right, many persons have been calling for his, removal, and say maybe we need a new blood. He has administered a couple of national elections. Actually, that's Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, and possibly he has done well for himself. He took over from Professor Jega, and
Jega.
What?
Atahiru
Jega, right. And then some will say after the 2023 elections and its controversies, maybe we need a new blood, new hands. At least he has done like 2 or 3 now. And so he should possibly take a bow. But then that would be at the behest of the president, because the president appoints the INEC chairman with the ratification of the National Assembly. So much to really talk about as far as the conduct of elections are concerned. And it seems some nations in Africa possibly are getting it right. They're having less and less of frictions and controversies about the election. Ghana had theirs just a few months ago. And at the end of the day, nobody's in court. As far as the presidential election is concerned, President Mahama has returned as the president. Life has gone ahead. But in Nigeria, even local council elections, we are still having issues. And we are supposed to be the bigger brother in Africa. Now, Dangote cuts petrol price to 865 naira as federal government backs naira for crude deal. I just to say, what kind of a game is this? 860 and 825, and then the naira for crude policy lapsing, and then Dangote saying they don't have enough this and that. Oh, maybe Nigerians might get to buy petrol with dollars. At the end of the day, this morning is being reported, although yesterday's was reported that conversations are on about the naira for crude policy, and this morning the Guardian is reporting Dangote has cut petrol price to 865 naira as the federal government backs naira for crude deal. So what's this dribbling?
Well, it's a good one. If you ask me, for those buying in bulk, that's for those who are reselling. For the marketers, it's a good one because it was reduced from 880 naira per liter to 865, which is a reduction of 15 naira. Right. So if you are buying a tanker, which has 33,000 capacity, so you'll be saving. That will be 15 times 33,000. That's 495,000 naira on the tanker. So in the long run, I do not know how it will affect
the final
pump price. Absolutely, I don't know it will affect pump price.
You know what? A practice around here is the fact that the moment something gets high, as far as pricing is concerned,
it rarely goes there.
And now Dangote say, "Oh, we have reduced the price." You don't expect that reduction today because folks will tell you, "I have the last supply. So I can't sell at that price," and these are some of the issues. But whatever we need to do, let's just do it rightly. But it's a good feeling to know that the naira for crude deal is back now, either at the conversation level or in actual practice.
But again, Femi, that naira for crude deal, now it brings to question the claims of NNPC under Mele Kyari. They said that deal couldn't continue because NNPC had some forward contracts that they had to service that they do not have enough crude. Now the Federal Executive Council has ordered a continuation of that deal. So the question is, where will the crude come from? Remember, an expert asked that question, that once the crude they are supplying their own refineries, where is it coming from?
That's it.
So the question is, where is this crude coming from now to restart this Naira for crude deal?
You know what they say, miracle no they tire Jesus.
You know they tire Nigerians, that should be it. Right? No.
NERC finds 8 discos 628 million naira for overbilling customers. That's the National Electricity Regulatory Commission finds 8 discos 628 million naira for overbilling customers. Who gets the fine? The government or the people that have been overbilled? These are the issues. It's good to find them, to reprimand them. But then the people that have been overbilled, what would be the compensation?
Absolutely. We get the refunds. That's the question.
I know we monitor the refund. It's not enough for NERC, possibly, if push comes to shove, to say, oh, go and manage, go and compensate them. Who will monitor if they have been compensated? How will they be monitored? Is it those with prepaid meter? Is it those with direct billing? How will it work? Some of these things are just not just fair. Don't just be cheated. One thing in Nigeria is, you know what? Do everything in your power not to be cheated, because your compensation
it's in heaven.
That is if you get to make heaven.
In the hands of God.
That's another thing. That's if you make heaven.
No, majority of Nigerians will make heaven.
All right, talking politics. 2027, PDP governors meet. SDP reject merger talks. 2027, PDP governors meet. SDP reject merger talks. Right. I think the SDP is the new bride right now. All right.
Absolutely. Femi, there's concern over the visits of APC governors to Buhari. You know, they paid Buhari visits. Initially, they said, oh, it's just to show solidarity that they're still strong. But reports have, come out to say that they are actually worried about the CPC block of APC. CPC was formed in 2009. Then in 2013, they merged with Action Congress of Nigeria, together with a faction of APGA and AMPP to form the current APC.
And the new PDP guys.
Yes. And we know that the CPC is actually the largest bloc in the APC, led by Buhari. So that's why those governors actually went to Buhari.
I think that's debatable. The ACM bloc as well.
The CPC was actually very strong, led by Buhari. That's why Buhari emerged. Yeah, so they are very significant. If CPC bloc should pull out of APC, it will serve as doom for them. So,
and pull to where?
SDP, of course. They are concerned. A lot of them.
Can they afford
now
to pull out?
The number one person there is Nasir El-Rufai, who has, defected to SDP publicly, and he said he got Buhari's consent to do that. Now,
but the following day, Buhari said he's still in the APC.
He said he's in the APC.
Bound by the statute of the
Now,
APC.
the governors want him to actually appeal to his, Buhari has this cult-like followership. He has influence. So the governors are trying to appeal to him so that he can talk to his followers to please not leave the APC for SDP. But Buhari says, I can't tell them what to do. That right from time he believes he believes that people should have their own choices, have their own opinion, that he wouldn't take that upon himself to talk to them, but he is still in APC.
If that, I don't say, maybe it's a conspiracy theory now. If the narrative is right, the question is, why would that so-called CPC block of the APC want to move out? Why?
Of course. We know.
They were in power for 8 years.
We know what happened with Nasir El-Rufai.
I'm just saying, Nasir El-Rufai is not the only person.
Influence. He's not the only people, but he's been trying to woo them to say that, this arrangement is not favorable to us anymore.
The CPC guys that are in this government, will they pull out?
That's the fear.
And put to where?
That's the fear.
Fear to where?
But rumors have it
they will leave certainty to uncertainty.
A lot of the people who served under Buhari have perfected plans to decamp to SDP. They're just waiting.
Because some of them are not in power. That is it. Some of the ACM bloc as well will say, we endured it for 8 years. You guys should calm down. And it speaks to the perpetuity in power of politicians. You just want to be there. Some persons were not, even President Tinubu at some point was ignored. especially the first time of President Buhari.
Absolutely.
People knew, even his wife, the wife of Aisha Buhari said it at that time and said many of the people that worked in 2015 have been ignored. And other persons, that's their issue.
But there's another angle to it, Femi, that people are not talking about now.
What's that?
We are Nigerians. We all know. We all knew what happened before Tinubu emerged as a candidate. At the initial stage, he was never supported by Buhari. Nigerians know that as a fact. He was never supported. So now the question is, why should Buhari be protecting your interests and not stop his loyalists from leaving to wherever they want to leave to?
Well, it is politics, and then politicians will do what they have to do, actually. Whatever it is, even if it means going to churches and becoming usher, a church they will never touch, you know what I'm talking about, in the next 4 years, or it means that they will go to a hairdressing salon and begin to fix hair, or they become mechanics.
Eating at the roadside.
I'm telling you, eating boli and rice and carrying people's baby. They will do everything they have to do, and then to the next 4 years. So let them do their business. As they say on social media, let them cook. Nigerians are waiting.
Absolutely.
All right, and away from that bottom strip, Lagos, Rivers, 28 others to experience heavy flooding. But the government wants, please let the state take precautions. We can afford any problem. That will be all from The Guardian.
From The Guardian newspaper, we move straight to the Nigerian Tribune. Let's check out some of the stories on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. Growing disaffection in PDP puts party's future in doubt. Growing disaffection in PDP puts party's future in doubt. With riders, May NEC meeting in limbo. They were supposed to have their National Executive Council meeting in May, but as it is now, we don't know what's going to happen. National leadership unable to meet, act. Postpones North Central, South South, Southwest Congresses. That's talking about the leadership crisis in PDP. We're just talking about the APC now and concerns of the CPC bloc pulling out. But PDP too, they have their own share. The opposition party, they have their own fair share of crisis. And the biggest one, the biggest crisis now is Labour Party, another opposition party, having 3 national chairman at the same time. So one begins to ask what's happening in the political scene in Nigeria. That's an interesting one right there. Moving to the top strip of the Nigerian Tribune. Dangote Refinery slashes ex-depot petrol price to 865 naira. Dangote Refinery slashes ex-depot petrol price to 865 naira. We just talked about that now. There's been a reduction from 880 to 865 for ex-depot prices. That's a 15 naira reduction. And the question is, how will it affect the pump price? Let's just hope that marketers will do the same and reduce the pump price of petrol to the end users, the consumers. Still on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. World Trade Organization warns tariff war could cut US-China trade by 80%, pull down world economy. World Trade Organization warns tariff war could cut US-China trade by 80%, pull down world economy. Of course, I raised that same concern yesterday here on the program when I said, see, this war, this tariff war between US and China will affect world economy. And the World Trade Organization is saying the same thing right now. Now, US slamming tariff of 104% at the initial stage on China. China reciprocating with tariffs of 84% against US goods. Then US responded by hiking the tariffs again from 104 to 125% and keeps going on like that. And the World Trade Organization is concerned, just like everyone else, that this will actually affect world economy. There are fears that the world might actually, slip into recession, rather. I would say depression, recession. The economy might go into recession, and it will affect many countries. Let's just hope for the best at this time. Still on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. Uromi killings. Federal government, Edo governor set up fact-finding committee. Uromi killings. Federal government, Edo governor set up fact-finding committee. You'll find a story on page 13 talking about the Uromi killings right there, where about 16 travelers were killed, alleged to be, armed, with rifles and all that, then guns. They were lynched by a mob in Uromi, Edo State. So they are trying to, set up a fact-finding committee to resolve that. NRC suspends Warri Itakpe train service over multiple engine failures. NRC suspends Warri Itakpe train service over multiple engine failures. That's unfortunate there. Talking about the rail sector of the nation there, having some challenges. You find that story on page 5 of the Nigerian Tribune. Assassination allegation. Akpabio petitions AGF, IGP, demands Natasha's prosecution. Assassination allegation. Akpabio petitions Attorney General of the Federation, Inspector General of Police, demands Natasha's prosecution. You find that story on page 2. You will recall that Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan made some allegations against the Senate President openly at her homecoming when she visited her state and said the Senate President was actually planning to assassinate her. The Senate President was silent for a while, but now he has spoken up. He has written a petition against the senator. Now, the question is, the Senate President is petitioning the AGF and the IGP for investigation and prosecution. And some people would say, why not just take Natasha to court? That's the question. Why are you asking the AGF and IGP to prosecute? Why not just take her to court? That's what some people would say. So let's see how that will play out. Still on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. Fubara's COS slams 2 billion naira libel suit on Nweke, former HOS. Fubara's Chief of Staff slams 2 billion naira libel suit on Nweke, former head of service. You will find a story on page 2. You would recall that the former HOS made some, statement indicting Fubara in some crisis in River State. Now, a suit has been filed against them, a libel suit of 2 billion naira. So let's see how that plays out exactly. Afenifere honors Adebanjo with symposium. Afenifere honors Adebanjo with symposium. With the rider, Obi, Oshuntokun, Bode George, Ezekwesili, Igodalo, others in attendance. And you see the picture right there of the children of the late Pa Ayo Adebanjo with the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 elections, Mr. Peter Obi, and of course some other persons right there at the Muson Center in Lagos at a symposium to mark the 97th posthumous birthday of late Pa Ayo Adebanjo right there. At the bottom strip of the Nigerian Tribune, Lagos, Oyo, Delta, Ogun, 29 other states at high risk of flooding. Federal government warns. Lagos, Oyo, Delta, Ogun, 29 other states at high risk of flooding. Federal government warns. Of course, the rains are here, so let's just hope they put the right measures in place. Once again, we keep saying this over and over again. Every other year, they tell us these states would experience flooding, and all of a sudden, the floods will come, and you see people, they start doing the same stories over and over again. So I just hope they fix the drainages this time and make sure everything is in place to avert any form of disaster. Finally, from the front page of the Nigerian Tribune, attack on Plateau communities ploy to wipe out indigenous settlement. Attack on Plateau communities ploy to wipe out indigenous settlements. That's according to Governor Caleb Mutfwang. And that'll be all from the front page of the Nigerian Tribune. And that'll be all from the pages of our newspaper this morning. And we'll take a short break right now. When we return, the program continues. Please stay with us.